As you know, June 30th at World Pride in New York City, the 50th anniversary of the gay civil rights movement will take place of the celebration of Stonewall. This year, this is a very important sentinel moment. Everything that's going on in our world, Stonewall seems to be something grounding for us for our civil rights efforts. And each week we celebrate a gay icon. This week we celebrate Barbara Gittings. Now this is something you may not be as familiar with, and so we bring that to your attention. I think this is going to be an interesting one. So to begin, let's watch this about our gay icon on the March to Stonewall, Barbara Gittings.
It was a wonderful feeling to be here and to be out facing the public for the first time. We were the first to do this in an organized fashion, to stand up for ourselves. We believed, well, let me put it this way, we were considered weird and sick and perverted and just plain wrong. Even most of the good straight citizens of this country had been brainwashed into thinking that we were that way. And we felt, no, we are not perverted, we're not sick, we're not weird, and we are not wrong. We are right, and the world is wrong. We had a dress code and we had a conduct code for the picketing demonstrations, and they were very sedate. And it's easy today, 35 years later, to laugh at the rules that we had at the time and make fun of them. But I strongly supported them at the time.
My people is something that has been a real guiding notion in my own life in the movement. Now, I'm by temperament a joiner. I like to get into organizations and do things, and if the gay movement had not come along, I would probably be active in the conservation movement today. And let's face it, the gay movement's a lot more fun. But I heard about the gay movement by reading what was a very seminal book of the time, The Homosexual in America, A Subjective Approach, by Donald Webster Corey, and I was fascinated by the idea that a book on the subject could be published, a book by a homosexual. I contacted the author, who lived in New York City, and he told me about the newly formed Mattachine Society. So I had the usual 2 weeks vacation, and for the first time in my life I bought a plane ticket and went up in the air and went to the West Coast and landed in the offices of one of the gay organizations in Los Angeles with a rucksack on my back, and I said, well, here I am. Let's see, I got into the movement in 1958. I've been in the movement for 25 years now, and I don't think I really got a strong, coherent philosophy until the beginning of the 1960s, when, as John D'Amelio has pointed out, there was a distinct change in the temper and tempo of our own movement, sparked in large measure by the advances of the Black Civil Rights Movement. It was sponsored by a group of gay organizations on the East Coast, and it was done as what we call the annual reminder day on Independence Day, July 4th, to remind the public that there is still a significant minority of Americans who do not benefit from the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness
Barbara,
that are guaranteed us. There I am handing out leaflets, and the drill was you smile and you hand out to everyone, whether they take it or not. So there I am handing out leaflets.
Were you scared?
Oh, yes. It was, there were very few people who really felt comfortable about being in one of these demonstrations, because you just didn't know what the consequences could be, whether you might lose your job because your employer saw you on a television news clip, or somebody saw you in the street. If you could believe that the very first gay pickets had maybe 10, 15, at the most 20 people who could afford to get up in public and do this.
It's Happening Out is celebrating our Stonewall celebration, our civil rights, and the road to Stonewall we're all very proud of. And tonight, again, Barbara Gittings. Interesting, and the value, I think, of this segment is that when we started to talk about it, virtually no one in our production center knew who Barbara Gittings was. And the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force is right in our own backyard here in South Florida, and we did not know she was the founder. I'm sure somebody's going to talk about that. As we do the Road to Stonewall each week and celebrate a gay icon, each of our hosts basically do their own research of something something that they think is really interesting about our gay icon and tells you about something that they say. Tonight is no different. We'll do that again. So let's begin with Power.
Well, she was known as the mother of the LGBT civil rights movement. And Barbara Gittings once said, "Watch the homosexual, what the homosexual wants, and here he is neither willing to compromise nor morally equivalent to compromise is acceptance of homosexuality as a way of life fully on with heterosexuality."
Okay, and Aaron?
Well, I loved the story of Barbara Gittings because she was an activist who would not take no for an answer. And she was often criticized by much of the gay community as being too militant, even by the leadership of the lesbian organization that she helped build. And I can relate. She believed in the power of protest and public visibility to push important conversations in places that otherwise would not listen. So thank you, Barbara, for that.
Aaron, you were telling me that this quotation also stuck out to you from Gittings. "Putting a label on myself was a big step forward. Once I said, yes, that's me, that's what I am, I was able to work with it."
And Josie?
In 1973, Barbara co-founded the National Gay Task Force, which is now known as the LGBTQ Task Force, which is located in here in Miami. And no changes in laws and public policy would be complete without attention to the task force history. Barbara Gittings said, "I've had the satisfaction of working with other gay people all across the country to get the bigots off our backs, to oil the closet door hinges, to change prejudiced hearts and minds, and to show that gay love is good for us and the rest of the world too."
Oh, that's an awesome
Amen.
quote.
Well, in 1970, Gittings worked for many decades to have homosexuality declassified as a mental disorder. I think that was just amazing. And she said, "Equality means more than passing laws. The struggle is really won in the hearts and minds of the community where it really counts."
Nice. America, Barbara Gittings is our celebration tonight as a gay icon on our road to Stonewall. This is a very, very important segment that we're very proud to be associated with. We have been doing the road to Stonewall now and celebrating. Just tell me, just the name. Just tell me your favorite gay icon that we've done in Stonewall. So, Cher.
Bayard Rustin.
Tell me anybody else want to say in terms of favorite?
I'll say, hey, you skipped over me. Here's my chip. Did you forget how to count too? Maybe you and Trump have a lot in common.
Okay.
Okay, right. So one of my favorite accomplishments by her, in October 1st of 2012, she was inducted into the Legacy Walk, which is essentially like the Hollywood Walk of Stars, in an outdoor public display, and it is that display of LGBTQ people. It's a huge moment, and it means a lot to have her there. And just to add another one in, she was also one of the people to help advocate that lesbians and gays fight together for their rights in that struggle rather than trying to do separate fights. And that she found they could only be successful with both genders in mind. One of my quotations from her is that equal treatment, no more, no less, is what we want. And compassion, which many homosexuals gladly swallow because they think it represents an improvement in attitudes toward them, is not equal treatment.
Powerful. The point that I make about Barbara Gittings that we celebrate tonight and this entire segment is we're in the home stretch. We're in the home stretch of our celebration of 50 years of the March to Equality in the gay community, our civil rights efforts. We have been doing the Road to Stonewall for approximately 4 months now. This is the first days of April. We have 3 months to go. We invite you, America, to suggest who you would like to see in our last 3 months celebrated as the gay icons in our road to Stonewall, our march to June 30.
Because they're tired of hearing my suggestions, trust me.
No, they're all welcome, honestly. So suggest and send an email to It's Happening Out or communicate to one of the hosts in their social media feeds. And we'd like to hear from you. It's a very important thing. And we are going to celebrate our march to Stonewall all the way to to June 30th.
Thanks so much for watching us. If you like what you saw, please subscribe to our channel and like us on Facebook.